Hello everybody and welcome to PJ Church. It's the summer holidays, which is super exciting. I know for some of you that doesn't really mean a lot because you've been off for ages. But if you have been at school, then enjoy your time at home. And even if you've been at home being homeschooled, I hope that you're going to have a really good rest this summer, all ready to start school again in September. So over the summer holidays, we are going to be looking at some different books produced by the Good Book Company, and they're all picture books. So I've got various different people to read out different picture books for you over the summer holidays, and we're just going to carry on doing our PJ Church thing. So first of all, we're going to do a song. Excellent, well done everybody. I love that one, that's a super good one. Okay, we are going to play a game next, and this game is all about sound effects because there's some different sounds in our book that we're going to read today. So one person from your family group is going to make up a sound. It can be anything, and the others of you have got to try and guess what it's going to be. So it could be an animal noise, or it could just be another sound effect that you might hear around your home or outside. Enjoy playing that together now. Let's see how good you are at creating different sound effects. Excellent. So next up is our story, and Samuel is reading our story for us this week.
One day, long, long ago, Jesus was teaching by the sea. Soon some more people arrived, then others, then more and more, until there were people everywhere. We can't hear back here. Give me some room. Be quiet. I can't see. The crowds were just too big. No one could see Jesus, and no one could hear Jesus. So Jesus asked his friends, the disciples, to push their boat out into the water. He sat in the boat and the huge crowd spread out along the beach. Now they could all see and hear Jesus as he told them all about God. When he'd finished teaching the people, Jesus said to his friends, "Let's go over to the other side of the sea." Jesus had finished teaching the crowd, and now he had something to teach his friends. But they didn't know it yet, so they all jumped in the boat with him and set sail across the sea. Jesus was so tired. He'd been teaching the people all day, so he lay down in the back of the boat and fell fast asleep. It was a quiet evening, and the water gently lapped against the boat, and the sun slowly set in the sky. Jesus was sleeping. The disciples were quietly talking. Then, of all a sudden, they were in the middle of the biggest, loudest, scariest, most ginormous storm you could imagine. The wind blew hard, the waves grew huge, the water poured into the boat, but Jesus was asleep. The wind blew harder, the waves grew huger, the water filled the boat, but Jesus was still asleep. "Jesus, wake up, wake up! Don't you care? We're drowning." What a silly thing to say to Jesus. Of course he cared. He loved his friends so much that one day he was going to die for them. Jesus stood up in the boat. The wind was still blowing. The waves were bigger than ever. The water was pouring into the boat quicker than the disciples could tip it out again. But the boat was still sinking. But then Jesus did something amazing. He didn't help his friends pour the water out of the boat. He didn't help them try to row back to the land. Jesus simply spoke, but he didn't speak to the disciples. He spoke to the storm, to the wind, and to the waves. "Quiet, be still." Just 3 little words, and the storm stopped right away at the very moment. The sea was quiet, still, and calm. Then Jesus looked at his friends. "Why are you so afraid? Do you still not trust me?" But they were terrified, and they asked each other, "Who is this? Even the waves and wind do what he says." This is what Jesus wanted to teach them. He wanted them to know who he really is. The disciples already knew a lot about God from his special book. They knew that God made everything. He made the world. He made the sun and the moon and the stars. And he made the sea and the wind as well. They knew that only God can tell the sea what to do. That only God can tell the wind when to blow or the waves when to crash. Only God can do these things. But the disciples had just seen Jesus do the same things God can do. So what is the answer to their question? Who is Jesus? Jesus is God.
Thank you, Samuel, and thank you very much to the Good Book Company who are letting us use all of their books online and their images as well for free at the moment. So thank you very much. We're really, really grateful for that. Now, super exciting this week is that you don't have to listen to me talk about the story and what we should think about, because Livy is been really super brave and has written this talk all by herself and is going to talk to you about what she thought when she read this book.
I really liked this story and noticed a few things when I heard it. First of all, I noticed that the crowds were really big and Jesus wasn't just sleeping to teach the disciples a lesson. He was sleeping because he has the same needs as us after a busy day. When I have had a really busy day at school, I definitely need a rest and a break from people, just like Jesus did. Although different to our current circumstances, they certainly weren't socially distancing. I also noticed that the crowd was so big and moaning and fighting about not being able to see Jesus. That would have made a lot of people feel very special and important. But Jesus wasn't like that. He was humble and not there to show off like some other people may have done. The deeper meaning of this story is that Jesus wants everyone to know he is God. Because he is God, he can do powerful things to help us. It's interesting that it also reminds me of another Bible story where Jesus heals the blind man but tells him not to tell anyone because he wasn't ready for his power to be shared with everyone at that point. This power that Jesus has come from God to show us that he is alive in us and in this world. With God's power, Jesus has the power to do everything. If Jesus has the power to calm storms, he could certainly help us if we pray and believe in him. What do you need God's power to help you with?
Thank you so much, Livy. I'm really, really super proud of you. You did a fantastic job. Now we've got a craft activity for you to do about boats. So I hope you've had lots of fun doing all of that today, or you're going to do it later on in the day. I'd really, really love to still see your pictures, even though we were on holiday. So pop those on our Facebook page or get your parents to email them to me. I'd really love to see what you're getting up to. Also, don't forget that there's a sheet that you can do, a PJ Church extra sheet that you can do if you've got a little bit of time in the week. And again, I'd really love to see pictures of what you've been thinking about later on in the week when it comes to this story. Don't forget that Livy's challenge to you is to think about where you can see God's power at work this week. Again, message me if you have any ideas about where you've seen God and his power at work in your lives this week. Carry on chatting to him like I know you will. Enjoy your weeks, and I will see you next Sunday.